Married at First Sight Australia. Episode 12. I'm not going to beat about the bush. I'm going straight into this dinner party. Did you see the mess of that dinner party? Oh my goodness me. But just before we get into that, what the hell did Coco look like? What did she have on? Nothing. That fishnet stocking, bodysuit, whatever you want to call it. What the hell was that? She looked like she was going to some sort of lap dance club. Oh my goodness. I'm not saying that I didn't like it, but there's a time and a place. You were going to a dinner party. You were going to a dinner party. Dress accordingly. We all know who she was going there to impress. She wasn't dressing up like that for Sam. Oh no, she wasn't. We know exactly who she was trying to impress. The guy standing right next to her. Anyway, I digressed. Let me bring it back. What was wrong with, what's his name, Bryce? Bryce was just on one before he even got there. How did Sam and Coco's business become Bryce's business? How was it his argument? His fight? This guy's got a chip on his shoulder. Not too sure what about, because when I look at him, as I said before in another review, he reminds me of Sam, just slightly more subtle. But he has the same characteristics. The same way Sam belittles Coco is the same way Bryce belittles Melissa. But in this case, Coco can speak for herself. Melissa just shuts up, doesn't say shit. Doesn't say anything. She just puts up and shuts up. Sam, when he walked into the mixer, he was fine. Until Patrick. Patrick, what are you doing? Why are you getting in the middle of this? Patrick goes over to Sam to try and give him the heads up of what Bryce had said. Now you've got him on the back foot thinking, you know what, I better defend myself. I'm going to confront him right now. So Sam decides to go and sit opposite Bryce on purpose, drinking his beer, eyeballing him, and Bryce doing exactly the same. You know this was leading up to something. Sam then turns around to Bryce and says, "So Bryce, I hear you got a problem." Ah, dear. Oh my goodness me. Here we go. In short, Bryce started to bring everybody else into this argument about how Sam disrespected Coco on the couch. Asking everybody, do you think he was being disrespectful to Coco? And I'm thinking, but how did it become your argument? As Sam said, do you know everybody's business? How is it your argument? But the same way you talk about Sam disrespecting Coco, as I said before, he disrespects Melissa all the time. He puts her down about her looks, about little niggly bits about her. She doesn't say a word about him, nothing negative, but he does it to her all the time. So he's a damn hypocrite, sitting there bigging himself up like he's the man. Like he's the one you must behave like. Show respect the way I show respect to my woman. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're the worst role model. You're the worst role model to look at. Fast forward away from that argument there. Coming on to the dinner table, we saw Cameron speaking to a group of guys. I can't remember who was in the group. But he was talking about who he would be better suited with. I think someone brought the subject up. Someone else brought the subject up. So he was put in a position where he had to answer the question. And I'm sure he wasn't in the mood to be centre stage. Especially with Sam sitting opposite or across the room. It just wasn't right. Just the timing was terrible. But he did answer the question by saying, I feel I'd be better suited with someone else. And then someone said, the person sitting next to me, which happened to be Coco, sitting the opposite side of, I think it's Patrick. I can't remember now. I thought, oh dear, here we go. This is going to lead into something. Then you saw the camera go on to Coco, and Coco was talking about the same subject with the girls. They were saying, we can see the connection between you two, that you'd be better suited with someone on this table. We know who they were talking about. They were talking about Cameron, of course. Yes, they were. So with that being said, things were getting uncomfortable. That Coco thought, you know what, I need to speak to Sam, because this is getting out of control. People are talking and Sam's in the dark at the moment. So she brought it upon herself to go and speak to Sam. Didn't like the way she did it. I did not like the way she did it. Coco, you done it again. Your timing's all wrong. What you should have done is took her outside to have that discussion. Not on the table in front of everybody and try to embarrass her, because that's what you did in the end. It worked out to be quite an embarrassing situation for her to be put in. You didn't think that far ahead. Samantha gave her blessing, but I know she felt humiliated by the whole scenario. She picked herself up from her seat and went outside. I think she went to the toilet, the bathroom, and it was like, here we go again. The humiliation, the embarrassment. Ugh, poor girl, man. Seriously, every time. Coco, you've done this twice now. You did it once at the the bachelorette party, and you've done it again here. What are you doing? While Sam was out the room, we saw the attention being put on to Cameron and Coco. And Cameron was very much like, I wasn't expecting this to happen, this to be brought up, especially not round the dinner table like this. You know, he's not about that. He's just not into the embarrassing situation and being put in front of people in that sort of light. But he did deny that there was nothing going on between him and Coco. He lied about that. If you saw Coco's face, it was like, what do you mean there's nothing going on? I thought we had something. Oh dear, I don't know. Sam, as in Coco's partner, Sam, he turned around and said, oh, I saw the text you sent her. And Cameron tried to answer that by saying, it wasn't the type of text you're thinking. It was her asking me about you, because I know you from back home. So that question was quickly cleared up. Sam continued to wind up the situation. I'm sure he's trying to get a rise out of someone by saying that him and Coco are just friends. She's free to date whoever she wants. That's when Bryce decided to open his mouth by saying, so why did you write stay in last week's commitment ceremony? Here we go again. It was at this point that the whole table jumped in to say, Bryce, stop it. No, we're not going to go there again. We're just not going to do it again. So he piped down. But then Sam continued by saying, every time I walk out of my apartment, I see your wife crying. Oh God. Bryce turned around and called him a liar and tried to ask, so when do you see her crying? Melissa's backing up her husband to say, no, that's wrong. No, you got it wrong. I know she's lying. Melissa is lying. She just doesn't want to be humiliated, but she's lying. I believe Sam when he says he always sees her crying. Because he did turn around when speaking to the camera later and say, I normally see her on the balcony crying. Yes, I can believe that. I definitely can believe that. And with Sam saying that, pointing the finger, Mr. Bryce decides to get off his seat and go and confront him by sitting directly opposite him. Yes, he was ready for a fight. Bryce continued with the same questioning. So when have you seen her cry? Sam backed it up by saying, I've seen her 3 or 4 times crying. Oh dear. Bryce actually called Sam a liar. No, I don't believe Sam was lying. I really don't. He's not my favourite person. No, I can't stand him. But in this case, he was telling the truth. Melissa came along to try and calm her husband down. He wasn't hearing any of it. Him and Sam were still going back and forth, poking at each other. It was at this point that a few of the guys decided to intervene, saying, enough, the show's over, the show's over. But Sam got one last word in by saying to Bryce, who are you to stick your big nose into people's business? Something along those lines. And before you know it, Mr. Bryce threw a glass of wine over him. Yep, in his face. Everyone was in shock, as we know. Yes, everyone in shock. Oh dear, you can't take grown people anywhere. My goodness. Anyway, Bryce decided to walk out and he shouted something back at him. I can't remember what it was. I think you're an absolute embarrassment. Something like that, he said, and walked out. His wife followed him, the dutiful wife, to try and calm him down. I don't know why she's wasting her time. He's been on one all day about Sam. Bicker. Constantly. He's been talking about Sam continuously. Do you think he's going to listen to you now? Do you think he's going to listen to you now? I don't know why you're wasting your time. He doesn't listen to you anyway. Moving away from that situation there. Coming back to Samantha. There was one point where people started to ask the question, oh, where's Sam? Where's Sam? We haven't seen her in a while. Then all of a sudden she did come back into the room. But she was embarrassed by the whole thing. It was just humiliating. The one thing I do like about Sam is the way she carries herself. Especially when she's put in scenarios and situations like that. The way she carries herself very much like a lady. She doesn't get into any catfight. She just picks herself up, takes herself away from the situation and calms down and comes again. That's my style. I know a few of the women did come to her aid just to see how she was doing. And then the conversation took place again where they were talking about Cameron and Coco in front of her all over again. I'm thinking, oh God, are we still on this one? Why are you trying to humiliate the girl? Why are you doing this? Sam the man said something about wishing Cameron and Coco the best. Moving forward. Something like that, he said. And I thought, oh God, here we go again. Coco was getting heated behind it all. And she shouted something, we're not together, or something like that. I can't remember what she said. Sam's face when she said that was a picture. He just looked like he was in shock. Did she just shout at me? But at the same time, the whole situation wasn't funny. The whole situation became a discussion amongst the whole table. Everybody was involved. I feel so sorry for Sam. I really do. The poor girl. Absolutely embarrassing. It was at this point, because of the whole humiliation of everything, that Sam turned around and said to Cameron, do you want me to be respectful to you? Something like that. And then he says, do what you want. He was very blasé. No emotions there. No feelings. It was messy. She turned around, took her ring off and dropped it in the middle of the table. Everybody else was in shock. Why are you shocked? Why are you shocked? She's been embarrassed all bloody night. But she held her head. She's been embarrassed all frigging night. I wouldn't have stood for it. I'm sorry. I couldn't sit there the whole night with that type of embarrassment. No way in hell. Her last words were, she's done. She's done. Yeah, she's done. Cameron behind that turns around and says, no worries. No worries? Oh, I would have slapped him. I'm sorry. I'm not into violence, but I would have slapped him. It would have all just been too much for me. It really would have. So on that note, this is where I'm going to leave it. We're just going to have to wait till tomorrow for the commitment ceremony to see what happens next. But I'm not living on hope. If you like what you heard, please like, comment and subscribe. Till next time.